I ended up moving to England and starting music there. So actually starting working music in like traveling from Liverpool to London.
You went to the
Um,
Paul McCartney's college, right, in Liverpool?
yeah, yeah. And then I
Yeah.
wrote this song called I Hate the
I hate the
Beatles.
Beatles, I was gonna ask you about
Yeah.
that.
I love the Beatles. It's the biggest misconception about me. I'm like, guys,
I had you on this podcast, like, over 4 years ago. Um,
yes.
you told me at the time that was the first interview you had ever done, which is wild. I mean, I just went back and listened to it. I'm not that creepy, but it was like, you're like, "This is the first time I've been in an interview." I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Wait, really? That's insane.
Mhm. It was like you had just maybe put the music video out for Little Did I Know, like, the EP wasn't out, the song had just kinda came out.
So I was in Hawaii.
You were in Hawaii, yep.
That's wild. Wow. That's insane. I feel
Great
like that was like in another
lifetime, sure.
kind of. I feel like that time didn't even happen. Like looking back, I'm like, is I feel like I read it in a book. Like I don't remember it actually happening.
That's so
That's
wild.
insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
you were in
so good
Hawaii.
seeing you
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, it's so great to see you as well. I'm so excited when I saw that, we could set this up. I was like, "No way." So then I went back and listened to the interview, and I'm like, "Whoa, we were really I was the first person to have you on. That's so crazy."
You know what's crazier? Is
What?
that that album or EP did really well,
Oh, yeah, I killed it.
and you were my first interview. Now you're my first interview again, and I have my album out for the first time.
Oh, wow. Let's keep this tradition alive.
I think you might be my lucky interview.
Hope so. I hope
I
so.
mean, it
But don't
sounds
blame
like it.
yeah, I mean, I know the album's gonna kill it, so I've
Oh,
already got that,
thanks. Thank you.
piece of it, so
Yeah, I'm already,
really.
like, very happy with, like, how it's been received and everything. I'm really happy with everything.
Oh,
But
yeah, it's doing awesome, and you just put it out, so that's so cool, and I'm
yeah,
really excited to kinda hear. I mean, like I said, when we chatted, you had 1 song out, that was it.
like, what do we talk about?
We talk about the last 4 years, what's going on? What did we talk about
No, no, no,
before?
sorry, what did we talk about
Oh,
then?
we just talked about your kind of your origin story, really. We got it. How,
Mhm.
so I kind of do want to touch on a little bit of that again, if that's okay with
Yeah,
you.
of
And then we'll talk
course.
about obviously the album. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but um, yeah.
No, of
So
course.
you tell me just again, real quick, where were you born and raised?
So I my name is Sofía Valdés, and I was born and raised in Panama,
Hmm.
um, and then moved to Michigan
Yeah.
when I was, when I was 16 or 15, I can't remember very well,
You
and
moved there to pursue music, kind of, right? You were like wanted
yeah,
to get out of the US.
there was this boarding school there, which, was and I studied songwriting,
Hmm.
and that's what made me make the move. I wanted to start, like, getting into the world or, like, understanding the land,
Hmm.
like the US, like, I don't know, had never lived there before, and I really wanted to live in LA at some point, so that was, like, my way of coming in, and then I ended up moving to England and starting music there, so actually starting working music in like, traveling from Liverpool to London.
You went to the
Um,
Paul McCartney's college, right, in Liverpool?
yeah, yeah, and then I wrote this song called I Hate the
I hate the
Beatles.
Beatles. I was gonna ask you about
Yeah,
that.
I love the Beatles. It's the biggest misconception about me. I'm like, "Guys, you don't." I've been traumatized by the Beatles though. Like, you know how, like, you listen to your favorite song with, like, your boyfriend or girlfriend at the time, and then you break up, and then whenever you listen to a song again, it, like, brings you back to the time?
Yeah. I
That's
figured when I
kind
heard it, it was with 8 Days a Week, right? I mean, you talk about that
Yeah, I
song
thought
and
it was very obvious. I'm like, I'm naming the songs, like, I'm a fan, like,
yeah,
whatever
I thought it was
not
obvious too, but if you
the
read the
people
title, you're like, "Wait a minute."
yeah, but then people did not get that, but That's fine.
Uh, but yeah, you come from like a musical household. Your great
Yeah, my
grandparents, right, were
great
professional
grandparents.
musicians, and parents
Yeah,
were musical, but and your
yeah.
brother as well, right? Was your brother a musician?
Actually, yeah, he is, but, like, I secretly, I don't know if I ever talked about it. Um, but he doesn't really, like, put anything out or anything. He, like, um, mainly skates. He's a skater
Skateboard?
boy. Yeah, like,
That's
skates
awesome.
professionally.
No
Um,
way. That's what
I
I did.
know.
I wasn't pro, but I skateboarded
You
a little.
are?
I
Kinda, yeah.
was, and my friends were, and then they started companies, and now they're millionaires, and I wish I would have done that, but,
Wait,
uh
really?
yeah, in San
Is
Diego,
that
they
the way to go? We make
but,
fun of skaters so much in LA when really,
they
maybe
had to
that's what
figure
they
it out at
need.
least in the '90s and the early 2000s for sure.
Yeah, I think that's
Um
actually funny enough that you brought that up because I've never said this before, but I just put this together, like, recently. My mom and my dad are not musicians, but they were always been very musical.
mhm,
My mom and my dad met because my dad was in this band when he was, like, younger, and it was this cover band, and they were touring in Panama and touring. It was, like, 3 spots or 2, and he was the drummer, and they needed a singer, and the main singer got sick, and she couldn't go, so they hired my mom, and they met because my mom was in a cover band and my dad was my mom was a singer, my dad was a drummer. 3 days into knowing each other, my dad proposed to her
wow.
on the tour, and then I'm a musician, so I think that's interesting.
That's so cool, and how proud are your parents that you are doing this and pursuing
They're
it?
so happy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually successful at it, which is,
Yeah, they
so
honestly,
hard.
like, it's at some point, it got really tough where I was like, "Am I gonna have to go back for a while?" And they were "No, like, you gotta stay, you have to figure it out," like, I was like, "Oh, wow," like, they're really pushing for me to this for this to work. I
Mhm.
feel like my parents push me to do music and be in music as much as they push, like another like a doctor parent pushes their kid to, like,
Mhm.
finish their
At school or
degree.
something. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's really
So,
rare, right? I mean, most
really
parents are like,
rare,
"No, no,
yeah.
no, 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 you're not taking that chance." Especially even if they're musicians, it's like, "Oh, I know how hard we worked at this, and no, you're gonna do something more stable or whatever."
Yeah. At some point, I was like, "Maybe should I go back to college, like, and maybe study this?" And my mom was like, "Absolutely not." Like
That's
like,
pretty
"Y
good.
you don't want me to get a degree?" "No." I was
No,
like,
no, no. You're already doing this on your own. You've got this going, so
"Thank
but you
you."
went to the school for with in Liverpool for with, Paul McCartney school, you didn't finish there? You just is that
No, it couldn't
okay,
because of the pandemic, but I was there for
okay,
2 years.
okay.
The pandemic hit, and then, like, it was, like, on computers, and I was like, "No." I got super depressed in the pandemic, like, I did not even open the computer. I actually did not even, um actually, I don't know if I can say this because I don't want it to be recorded.
Okay, then don't say it.
Really, it's really funny, but I don't
You
can
can
you
say it, I don't care.
is this gonna be cut out of the interview?
You want if
Like,
you want me to cut it out, I will.
okay, but I wanna tell no, or maybe I should tell you at the end because it's
Tell
really
me at
funny.
the end because 'cause I'm curious. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll move forward, and then just tell me at the end so I don't forget. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, because last time we spoke to you were in Hawaii,
Mhm.
and we're talking about Little Did I Know and the recording of it, how it was like the demo that made it through, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you can hear the click track. I can't. I couldn't when I first heard it. I go back and I still try to listen for it. And he said, like, you can hear your roommates in the background. And then you shot the video with like a camera from like 2006. And that's what kind of gave it that rad, like black and white to like filtered
yeah,
vibe.
yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
remember, there was a door, like, being, like, thrown at the end of the song. You can hear the door is easier to hear at the end of
Okay. Um, so then, but since then, I mean, you put out your EP,
Mhm.
Ventura, and that does really well. And so once everything starts opening up with the pandemic, do you what do you do? Are you tour do you get to tour the EP or like kind of tell me where'd you pick up from Hawaii?
Um, wow, that was literally a lifetime ago. Huh. I go back to Panama.
Okay.
Album is released. It does really well. I'm really happy. Then they're like, "Okay, you gotta make the move. You're coming to LA." I was like, "Whoa." Moved to LA, and I started doing sessions nonstop for the first time,
Mhm.
which then I felt very, mentally just, like, so tired and drained. So I don't do
Bet.
that anymore. I don't do the speed dating
Oh,
sessions
the
anymore.
speed rating sessions with different
Yeah,
songwriters and producers and people.
yeah, I don't do that anymore. I'm very, like I try to be very careful with my time. So I feel like whenever you go into a studio with a new person, like every single day, I feel like you leave like a little part of yourself there. Like, because every day you're like telling your entire life story, like, so tell me what moves you. I'm like, this is what moves me right now, and then you get overwhelmed easily and it's a lot.
Mhm.
Especially if you're an introvert, like meeting people every day. Like,
Oh, I'm
imagine.
an introvert too. It's like I would be go home and just be drained.
Yeah. So around that time, I was able to tour it. I went on a tour with Boy Pablo,
Wow.
and that was really cool. I was supposed to go on a tour with Omar Apollo, and that was like my dream tour, but then it didn't happen. It got
Didn't you
canceled.
open up for them for that festival that you had, the one of the earlier festivals that you played? Like, it might have been your first show, I think you played.
Lollapalooza? Oh yeah, this is the
Yeah,
other crazy thing. So
yeah,
because the album was released in a time where obviously like
going on. Yeah.
nothing was going on. The moment everything opened up, because the album had been, like, up and running and doing its thing, um, my first ever show was Lollapalooza, which was, like I was like, I've never played an actual show ever in my life," like and then I was thrown into playing Lollapalooza, and that was really scary, and my sister and my mom traveled from Panama to come see me,
Wow,
and it was so sweet, and they were, like, crying, and it
that's
was
huge, but
really
you had played a festival, right, at, like, 15 in Panama, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, but, like
Not like this, right? Like, as,
not
like,
like
on the
that.
bill, this is, like, people know who you are, and now you're on this big show, and it's
Yeah,
Lollapalooza
yeah.
of all,
It was I definitely have played a bunch of shows growing up, but it was, like, me and my guitar and,
right.
like, in bars. That's the main thing.
Mhm.
Um, but the but yeah, doing it, like, it was just a completely different level of things I was never used to, so I was like, "What?" Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Um,
And then you ended up doing another EP, right? Before
yeah,
this out, the In Bloom EP with the
yeah.
I Hate the Beatles is on that one.
Yeah, which is like the Beatles, vouch for that song still. I think it's one of my songs that I'm like, "Oh, I wish people would, like, discover." But I'm happy because, you know, everything will happen in its time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, then In Bloom came out, and literally, like, it came out immediately. We were like, "Okay, next album. Like, we need to figure this out." And I was like, "Okay."
Oh,
And
really? So you released that and you were already looking ahead to the next thing.
yeah, not even actually a little bit before it came out, they were like, "Okay, we need to, like, do another one." I don't think people, like well, not people, but I don't know if, like, people were connecting with it as much. So, it was like, "Okay, we don't know if it's gonna connect, so we need to already get on to the next thing." I was like, but I love these songs." But then, you know
People connected to it. I mean, that record did well as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Um, were you I mean, you talked about doing the speed dating, like, songwriter thing,
Mhm.
with and you had already done Ventura at that point, right? So was that taking place for that In Bloom EP?
Yeah, it was for In Bloom.
Okay.
But
And
before Ventura, like, I wrote like, all the songs were written by the time I was signed, so it was just
right.
a releasing type thing, yeah.
Yeah. So then you moved to LA, you do the speed dating,
Mhm.
working with a bunch of songwriters, and that's where you write In Bloom, that album or that EP comes out.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then
And then immediately after or right before even In Bloom comes out, I start working on Sylvia, but really it was actually gonna be called the album was gonna be called Barbed Wire, um,
mm,
but then Sylvia happened and it was kind of iconic in its own, so I was like, "I kinda need to name it Sylvia so people, like, listen to the song."
find it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
But Sylvia has the same that those all rolled onto the album,
mhm,
the
yeah,
your self-titled album.
yeah, they did. So I feel like I was able to, like, give it a moment to those
Mhm.
songs and then try to go for the next part of the album. But yeah, I always wanted to do an album, but, how music is released now, it was kind of like, "Oh, like, what's the best way to do it?" You know?
Yeah, a lot of people just go with a few
At the
singles and
time
then that yeah,
yeah,
come out
like,
as an
last
EP.
year, like, doing an album, like, I was like, "I wanna do an album." They were like, "Girl, nobody's doing an album. And if you're doing an album, you're just gonna throw money in the air." I was like, "Okay, got it." And then now, albums are kinda back. Like,
They are, a little bit,
literally took
yeah.
a year, now they're back, and I'm like, I am so glad I released it right now because people right now are so into albums, like, sitting down, like, listening through, like,
Yeah,
mm
there's something to be said about an album, right? It's like it takes you on this journey. It's,
yeah, well, my point was me saying, like, "Have you ever heard anyone that said, like, 'This EP changed my life?' No, it's this album changed my life." You know?
that is a
So
great point.
yeah. So that's why I want an album. I was like, "These songs can't live in an EP." I love an EP though, but,
Mhm.
you know
With this album then, tell me about like you said you went through the whole speed dating songwriter thing. Do you end up like meeting some people that you're like, I'm just gonna work with these people, and that's how you
Yeah.
started to work on the album? And tell me about that then.
Yeah, so basically or I had met already, like, during the pandemic, actually, Michael Uzowuru, like, over FaceTime, because there was a song of mine called Little Did I Know that he really liked, and that was, like, for me, was, like, insane because I have been such a big fan of his work for such a long time, not even knowing that he was behind it, then finding out, like, who was behind it, and then, you know, him being like, "I really like your stuff." So that was for me, was, like, insane. But we start working right away, and I am so blocked when we start working. It took, like, 3 months for me to even, like, open up and, like, start singing. Like, I was so in my head, like, I couldn't really I was yeah, it was just, like, a hard time overall in my life, so it was really hard for me to, like, start going,
Mhm.
and Michael really helped me, like, get in a space mentally where I could be able to, like, get back into writing and believe in what I was writing and love what I was writing and fall in love with music again. But that took, like, a long time. So I remember it was, like, we had, like, 2, 3 months to finish the new EP, and by the time the 3 months were done, I was like, I think I'm starting to be able to sing again. Like, I fully, like, blew out the schedule, um, and yeah, so that was kinda crazy, but during
Was
that
there
time
like a moment or like a session or something that you had with him at that time that it kind of that
it
your
was
mental
such
block kinda like went away, or do you
no,
recall?
it was a long process, like, I wish it would've been quickly, like, one day I woke up and be like, "I'm a genius," and then I'm just kidding, I'm not confident I'm a genius, but it was, like it was really hard, and it took a long time, and, like, I'm really grateful for him to take the time he took, 'cause he took a lot of time to just sit down with me and talk for so long, and helped me get mentally in a space where I started trusting myself again.
Mhm.
And, that's hard, So he really did a lot in that time, but also he was introducing me to a lot of musicians and a lot of people that my first session for like the first like 2 weeks was with like Dylan Wiggins, and like Dylan and I are like friends now, but like at the beginning, like that was also wild. Like I don't know he just introduced me to a lot of people, and then he introduced me to Goose, which he ended being like literally the key to the project, to taking the songs from A to B. So Alex was amazing, and I would literally just go to Alex's house, and I loved his studio because like I hate studios with no windows.
Mhm.
And his studio is like in his house, and it's like a skylight. It was great. So I was like, I'm never going back. Like after going from like studios to like being in someone's house, and like, his dog's there, and like it was just like it felt comfortable. I feel like also that's the other thing, like studios feel so rigid sometimes. Um, and I really like being like in people's houses. So yeah, Alex and Michael together, that's when it was like literally 5 months in, it was like, oh shit, we have something. And then it was like in one day, like three of the songs were like, two of the songs were definitely written, like Already Yours and Midnight Freakout were written in the same day. And
Wow.
yeah, it was like it was just so quickly. It was like I remember Already Yours was actually uh how do you say that? Was an improv, like I improvised it.
Oh, yeah, 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 okay.
And it was all the melodies were there, like it was like it was crazy. It was like and I was like, wait, that's kind of crazy. And then Midnight Freak Out immediately right after I was like, play me another track or chords and I'll try to sing to them. And that's it's crazy because all my songs with Alex, that's how they came to be. Same with Tacones Por La Puerta. Like it was like a one improvisation thing that literally led to the entire song. Then Diana
Sparks the whole
Gordon
song.
came in with like a Midnight Freakout and like Sylvia and Already Yours. And then she helped me like kind of clean up the sessions a little bit and like come up with like exactly what I wanted to like transmit. And she was amazing. Yeah, there's another key to this entire project.
Wow. So it sounds like, yeah, like once you were actually recording in a like a home studio setting instead of going more like you were able to like open up a bit more and feel more comfortable and then
Yeah.
experiment almost like right with the improv
Oh my god,
like
me and
yeah
Alex
improv
experimented a
yeah
little
and
way
then you
too much.
start the floodgates open and then you what just start, you guys just start having a bunch of a bunch of songs that are ready and did you know you wanted to write an album or did it just become like because you said when you had that mental block, it was just let's just write songs, right? It wasn't you didn't have an album in your
I think
mind
it was
yet?
an EP, like, that's what we
Yeah.
kind of were aiming at, but then I think, like, it was so quickly, like, Michael was there, obviously, Alex was there, and these ideas started happening, and then we had 7 songs. So we did 5 songs, but then we had 7 songs, and I was like, "Okay, I feel very strongly about these 7 songs." And then I was like, "Okay, well, I wanna make an album, so maybe I'll do 8 songs." And then at that point, my team was like, "Just make it an album at that, like, just make it 10 at that point." I was
Mhm.
like, "Wait," you know? But then it took time to then after having, like, 7 to 8 songs and to getting the last 2 or 3, that was the most difficult part because
'Cause it probably because all those 7 kinda came quickly at that one
yeah,
once
like,
the
it was like
floodgates opened, and then it was, "Well, let's add a few more." So what comes on, like, at that point, like, what were the kind of last 3 that you wrote, and was it hard to you said it was hard to get those 3
yeah.
out, but
Um, for me, it was really hard to write. How's That Working Out? How's That
Really?
Working Out
That's a
went
great
through.
song.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love the what we had come up with, like, sonically, so I was like, "I cannot not finish this," like, and I'm not exaggerating, this song went through, like, 7 to 6, like, different versions,
Wow.
different melodies, different things of writing, like, the OG version was one with Diana Gordon that I written with, and it was called, oh god, I don't even remember, but I remember, like, it was not about what it's about now, it was about me and not wanting to leave the house. Um, I can't remember, I was gonna sing it, but I can't remember. Um, but yeah, it was like, it took so many different lives. That was the hardest record to finish, like, the absolute hardest record to finish. It was months, like, I think it might have taken a year to, like, get it through the finish line. That one was hard, and then what other one took a long time? Sylvia.
Really?
Mhm. 'Cause, like, we had a lot of elements, but we were like, "Is this right?" Like, we don't know, cause like, we definitely wanted it to be, like, even the way that it was mixed, like, we didn't know exactly what we were looking for, but we did know what we didn't want. Like, we wanted it to be like this, like, I don't even know what we wanted. Like, it was just like we were just like, "Okay, let's try this, let's try that." And I think Sylvia might be, like, probably one of the best songs I've written, and,
That's
um
yeah, it's a really good song. And this is the first like album that you've done, or this is your first
Mhm.
album, but it's the first piece of music or you know project that has songs in English and Spanish, right? Before that was just all in English for the most
Kind of
part.
like my first, um, record, like, Ventura,
Hmm.
um, there was this song called Amsterdam, and I translated, is that how you say
Yeah.
it
And
to Spanish,
okay.
and the Spanish one did really well, and it's so funny because it was, like, under Irish, like, it was like a
Yeah,
track that
because
I
you had like a Spanish version of it that came out later, right?
yeah,
But I mean,
and
like as far as like a project to put out without, where it was just all in that had a
so,
mixture.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. This is your first one, I think, right?
Yeah, that has been, like, both in Spanish and English, yeah. And then there was this and then in Half of Water, I speak a little bit of Spanish, but
Mhm. But with you saw the success of Amsterdam in the Spanish version, was that kinda like, "Oh, this will work. I should definitely implement this
um,
more?"
I think, like, logically, sure, but then a part of me was like, "What about my artistry? Like, I don't like, what comes out, like, I can control." And then I was like, "Okay, like, I'm gonna actively try to maybe get back in touch with, like, where I came from," and not that I wasn't before, I was, but maybe in a way where people are gonna be like, see, and people from back home to be like, "Oh, yeah, she no, she cares." No, she cares, but well, in Panama, there's this, like they're like, "Why is she singing in English all the time?"
Oh, that yeah.
I'm like, "'Cause I'm trying to, like, you know, sell tickets in the US, you know? I would love to make money like that." But yeah, so then I just realized that, like, I wanted to also have a little more of that, and it took a while, but, I got to it. I got to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like with the songs on this album, like, was it how did the songs in Spanish come versus the ones in English? Was it like you just said, like, kinda like, just I'm an artist, whatever comes out, like, if you felt
Yeah, which
like
is, like, looked very down upon, like, especially, like, musicians and producers, but no, it was like I would know if a song was gonna be in Spanish and English depending on we started the track, then I'll be like, "Okay,
Oh, okay.
I
So
know."
lyrically, would you start off and go, okay, I think this song, this I could do Spanish and this, and then you'd write the whole song
Yeah,
and
because
you'd
then
write
I
all the
figured
lyrics
I
in
tried
Spanish.
doing it in Spanish, and that was, like, a complete fail, like, it was really bad in Spanish. Um, it just when I would try to sing it, it was just, like, there's a disconnect, with me and the track
Mhm.
when I would sing it in Spanish. But then, for example, when I did the Arthur Verocai one or Un Momento, like, when I would start singing Spanish or I felt that disconnect with Sylvia as well. But then I ended up keeping it and then really working at to connect those 2. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, no, 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 that makes sense. I mean, if you weren't feeling it, if you didn't feel the connection there, and you're the one singing, and you're, I could imagine why you wouldn't go that route. But I mean, to have like un momento, like you just felt like, okay, there's a little, I feel connected to this song in Spanish, and it's working, and
Yeah, or
that's why
like
it's gonna make the record.
it was so natural. So un momento, it was like I started singing in English, and then at some point I just like started singing Spanish naturally.
Mm,
And I was like, interesting, like, okay, I feel comfortable in this moment to sing in Spanish and it feels right. But sometimes like it didn't feel right. How's that working out was another track that I tried really hard to write it all in Spanish. And
interesting.
many times there's 2 different versions of that song where it's in Spanish. And it did not um and with completely different lyrics and keys.
Really?
Yeah, and it did not stick. I was like, no, it didn't. I was like, I was going crazy. I was like, "Look, like, if this song could be good and it could be maybe potentially do something, like, I wanna sing in Spanish," and then I couldn't. But then, like, I tried so hard, and it was just maybe because of how the song moves
Mhm.
phonically? Yeah, like, it was easier to sing it with in English because the vowels are easier to say, and then in Spanish, you have to kind of like this like there's so many little consonants that then it
Oh
was
yeah.
hard to get through in the recording. So then that's my main thing is like it really depends on like the 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 consonants of consonant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of how the yeah, how the word ends, right?
Yeah,
To
the
see if it'll
wording,
make
like
sense if when you sing it out, or
yeah,
you can hold the note or whatever.
it's mainly with like R's and P's and T's, like
Mhm.
I also want people to understand what I'm saying. Even though my manager was like, "You know what? I don't understand shit that you're saying half your songs." I'm like, "Oh, sorry." You know? But I purposely was like, "I want a pop mix." Like, I wanna kind of like, I don't know. Yeah.
It's no, I was gonna say because the sonically the album is like it's darker in a way, right? It's not pop. It is, but it's not. It's like a darker, melancholy kind of
I
vibe.
see
That's
it as
like kind of how your
alternative.
vibe is, right? For your
Yeah,
songs.
I definitely see this project as more like an alternative pop thing rather
Yeah.
than pop alternative,
Yes. 100%. I would
which was
agree.
like my first album was more like pop alternative. I think this was more alternative pop.
And pop. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you touring the album? Are you gonna do
I
an
hope
like a
so.
okay. I hope
I
so.
want to. I don't think it's up to me.
Yeah.
I hope
Nothing's planned yet.
no, but I feel like it's gonna happen. So
That's so
I'm
cool.
keeping
Well,
my hopes up.
congratulations on the album and all the success over the past 4 years. I mean, it's so
Thank you.
cool to see. I mean, you had one song and now you've got a ton and, you've just been killing it. So, uh,
Thank you.
really, really
Thank you
cool.
so much.
Welcome. I have one more question, then I want to stop the recording so I can hear the story that you were going to tell. Um, if you have any advice for aspiring artists, I asked you this last time, but I'm going to ask it again. Maybe something's changing for you.
Mm, I find this a lot, and, like, I even feel this sometimes, like, just because someone else is doing really good doesn't mean that, 1, it takes away from you, and 2, it means that that's what technically is good. Like, what you can create on your own is good too, and, like, it's easy to fall into, like, trends and, like, people's opinions and, like, what they think it's cool and good, but I would say, like, remember that, like, 13-year-old, 14-year-old person that you used to be and, like, what you fell in love with in the first place and with music and write from that place rather than, you know, I wanna be cool, I want people to like me, I want this to do well. It's like, remember who you were then and write from that place of love where you first, like, fell in love with music.
Bringing it back